Welcome back to another edition of This Month in Housing for December 2023, and boy, do we have a lot to cover. We'd like to start by just letting the world know most agents know what's happening, and that's a fair statement. Good agents understand what's happening, but great agents can explain what's happening, and that's what we want to do today for you. We want to really explain what's going on with the current market dynamics so you can make more informed decisions. So we're gonna start by busting some myths, okay? We gotta bust these up. You hear the headlines, you see it, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, foreclosures are up 100%. Foreclosures are way up. That's true, but statistics can be misleading. Now, if you look at this slide, foreclosures are still near all-time lows. They're up from 2020 and 2021. Oh, by the way, there was a moratorium on foreclosures. You couldn't foreclose, so it's got nowhere to go but up, but they're still dramatically low. So anyone who's thinking they're gonna go out and scoop up a bunch of foreclosures or they're waiting for the market to crash, major myth. Foreclosures are up 100% from almost zero, so they're still very low. Airbnbs are gonna crash the housing market. I can't tell you how many investors send us messages, hey, what's going on with the Airbnb thing? Because there's a lot of litigation across different states. Here's the deal, guys. Just simply not the case. It certainly won't crash the market. Could it impact it? Of course. But it's like physics, you know? Every action has an equal or opposite reaction. The pendulum doesn't swing too violently. Now, 60% of consumers said they would consider renting out their home rather than selling it. And that's probably because they're locked into a super low interest rate. And 20% of consumers said they would love to keep their home to have extra income. So look, people love holding on to rentals. We understand that. But let's see how this plays out. In New York City, big change. Airbnb passed major laws. Listings for short-term rentals down 77% from June through September. It dropped precipitously because they changed the law. They said, look, you can't do this short-term rental stuff in New York City. Will that change the market in New York City? Sure. Does it impact us here in Baltimore, the greater Baltimore metro? Not really. So you see the signs. Does that impact you here locally in the Mid-Atlantic? Not very much. Will it impact the market in New York City? For sure. It doesn't concern us. Here's the flip side of that issue. Other states, like Arizona, get this. In 2016, the state of Arizona passed a law that bans all of its cities and towns from capping their number of short-term rentals. Interesting. At the start of 2023, Phoenix had over 20,000 short-term rental units, and all that competition has led to many of them sitting empty for weeks at a time. So this is the flip side of the issue. So depending on where you are and what's going on in the market, there will be opportunities. We're gonna keep our ear to the ground to figure out what's happening in Baltimore City, Baltimore County, all the surrounding counties with short-term rentals. When we feel like there's an opportunity, you're gonna be first to know. Last myth I gotta talk about. Wall Street's buying every home in America. You've heard people say that. Oh, the greedy Wall Street people, they're the ones causing the prices to go up. It's just quite simply not true. And we have a couple slides to prove it. Look at the total purchases by the size of investor. So we have iBuyers. That's when a tech company says, hey, we'll give you a guaranteed price for your home, $3,000. Individuals buying over 1,000 properties, small number 1,900. This is nationwide. But the vast majority of people buying investment properties are people who buy 1 to 9 mom and pop investors, overwhelmingly so. So is Wall Street buying every home in America? They're just not. And we have the percentage of all sales by size of investor. Again, overwhelmingly, it's the people next door. It's the mom and pop investors. It's people like me who want to scoop up a couple. Maybe it's people like you who are interested in buying a couple, not BlackRock sweeping up everything. You see little pockets around the country, but particularly here in the Mid-Atlantic, that's not something we have to worry about. So, we have more potential sellers deciding to rent. This is a key point. There's a lot of people who are saying, you know what, normally I would sell this home, but I think I'm gonna rent it. Right now, nationally, 7% of sellers are in that category. Doesn't sound like a big number, but that adds up to a lot. So, and that's one of the things keeping our inventory low. Because we all know we need more housing. There's not a lot of houses on the market. A lot of people are keeping their homes. Maybe that's you. If you're thinking about downsizing, upsizing, moving, maybe you keep your home at that 3% rate. And we have some really cool tools to show you what you could get for the rental so you can compare your cash flow, or even a short-term rental, and you can use things like AirDNA to figure out that short-term rental. So we don't have some of these problems like New York or Arizona. Key to know. All right, interesting. Apartment construction is roaring along at a 40-year high. That means more choices for renters, likely at lower rents, as everyone jockeys for tenants. We're seeing that here in Baltimore. When there's cranes in the air, beware if you're a real estate investor, because when that inventory comes, it does make it harder for you to rent your existing single-family homes. Now here in Canton, Federal Hill, Fells Point, it used to be you'd list your house for rent, you have 100 people trying to get in that rental. But now there's so many apartments available, we do see that locally. We're seeing it quite a bit. And down in your towns, like there's apartments coming in Bel Air, there's apartments coming in Fallston, there's apartments coming in all the surrounding counties. That's gonna impact your ability to rent your home. So if you're thinking about buying and holding and renting and keeping your 3% rate, beware, those numbers change. Particularly with apartment construction, we know that's going on. So, rental owners plan to sell properties in the 2 years to come. This is interesting. 32% of people who own investment properties are considering selling. This is a good sign. This means when inventory is really low and the prices are going up, which we're going to cover, it's a good time to unload some of those properties. If your rent is going to stay the same or go down, but you can unlock that equity and sell, a lot of people are thinking about that, and over the next 2 years, we're going to see a lot of those properties come to market. Very exciting if you're going to be a home buyer. So let's talk about inventory. What we didn't expect, especially considering 7+% mortgage rates, was more new listings. Okay, they didn't expect that. That was from the senior economist at Zillow. They thought the inventory was just going to absolutely plummet because people wouldn't buy the inventory. Even though it's low, they thought it was going to go lower because people aren't going to buy at 7%. Heck, last week it was at 8.5%, back down into the mid-7s today. That's interesting. So new listings are ticking up. This is nationwide, and we're going to get to our neck of the woods here, but new listings are ticking up. Good sign for home buyers. Rates coming down, more inventory available. It might be time to get off the fence. Very fascinating. Almost 71% of mortgage rates in the United States for people who own homes are less than 4%. 26% of people in the United States have a mortgage rate less than 3%. I'm going to say that again. 26% of people who own homes have a rate less than 3%. They're probably not going to sell. 44% between 3 and 4, 20% between 4 and 5, and then it really drops off quite a bit, over 5, over 6, over 7. Interesting, good to know. So if you have under 3%, you're probably not selling. Look at the blood red graph in the top right. If you're between 3 and 4, it's a tough pill to swallow to sell. But then all that other quadrant, hey look, the mortgage rates aren't going to impact their decision when selling a home. So that's interesting. Mortgage rates are less relevant to older homeowners. So now we're talking about baby boomers, maybe some Gen Xers. They don't care about the mortgage rates. Big survey went out. 26% said mortgage rates have no impact on my decision to sell. That's interesting. And of that 26%, 43% says the reason why is because I don't need a mortgage to buy a new home. That's fascinating. So when I saw that stat, I said, who wouldn't be concerned at 7 or 8% interest rates if I'm going to sell a home and buy another one? Well, if you have a boatload of equity, you don't care. So if you look at this chart here, mortgage rates are less relevant to older homeowners. 35% don't care, baby boomers. 23% Gen X don't care. Even the millennials and Gen Zs, there's a smaller portion, but they're not as impacted. But the older you are, the less you care, and that is because of one of my favorite words, equity, equity. Okay, let's talk about equity. We all want equity. Hope you have some, I'm sure you do. Look at the percent change in home prices over the last 5 years. 5 years wasn't that long ago. You remember 2018? Not that long ago. The national average up 57%. Don't you wish you would have bought? Don't you wish you would have bought when the rates were low? Because not only would you locked into a lower rate, bang! Equity's up 57%. How about Maryland? 41% increase. You ain't seeing that in the stock market. Let's talk about the percent change in home prices since 1991, since I was a 4-year-old when I was a baby. Okay? Since 1991, national average up 297%. Maryland, up 244%. Shit, look at Florida, 43.6%. Guys, home values go up over time, period. Look at the stats, look at the data. That's compelling. Now, I mentioned equity. Americans are sitting on tremendous amounts of equity. 68.7% have paid off their mortgage or have at least 50% equity in their house. That's fascinating. 38.7% of homeowners in this country don't have a mortgage. So that means when they sell that house, they'll have enough cash, because it's all equity, to buy another home, and that's why they're not concerned with the mortgage rates. Fascinating. And over 30% have over 50% equity. 68.7% of people have more than half their home paid off. Good place to be. Okay, and these are the people that you as a buyer might be buying their home. Interesting. Quarterly gains added almost $13,900 to the average US homeowner. So right now, the average US homeowner has about $290,000 tied up in their home in equity. That's the average. Do you want to buy a home? It's not too late. It's never too late to get started. It's never the wrong time to do the right thing. You got to get in the game. This whole country is based on property rights and equity with the tax benefits. Guys, let's go. All right, 3 major advantages of having equity. You already know this. You can be an all-cash buyer. You can be an all-cash buyer if you have enough equity in your home to go buy the next one. Great negotiating piece. You have the ability to put down a really large down payment, and then these baby boomers, they have access to assisted living residences. These are the people that are going to solve our equity problem when they go to sell these homes that are all paid off. Interesting stat. And we're monitoring that closely, and we have the data of how many baby boomers own in each town, each zip code, and we're going to analyze that and unpack that for our clients so we can make strategic, informed decisions on when to strike, where to strike, how to strike. See, most agents aren't thinking about things like that, but the only thing we care about here at the Schur Group, and one of the reasons for this month in housing, is to paint the picture of here's what's going on, so we are going to know what to do depending on your specific goals. Fascinating. Now, grandparents wish to be near the grandkids. Never underestimate the power of grandchildren, especially when it comes to lifestyle and financial decisions. Recent data shows that many baby boomers are relocating further away from home than they used to so they can be closer to their grandkids. What's interesting is I joke around with my wife, hey, I want to move to Florida. I want to go down to 30A. I want to move to Charleston. And she goes, yeah, well, wherever we move, I know our parents would come. Interesting. So that stat rings true for me. Empty nesters dominate home sellers. Get this, 70% of people selling their homes, 77%, don't have any kids living there. Interesting. You think that's a group you might want to market to unlock some inventory for your buyer clients? That's what we do. Interesting, 70% of home sellers don't have any kids living at the house. Do they still need that house? There was kids living there at one point, not anymore. 77% of home sellers. Interesting. Sellers want to be near their family. Here's the top 5 reasons why sellers sold. Okay, this is the top 5 reasons sellers sold so far in 2023. 21%, they want to move closer to friends and family. Hello, baby boomers, we just covered that, that's why. 11% moved due to retirement. 11% because the neighborhood became less desirable. That could mean any number of things. 10% because the home's too small, and 9% change in family situation. Guys, people are always going to move for their own reasons, but if you look at the swaths of population, it does make sense to study these things so you can understand what's going on. Current home price appreciation. Now, we talked a little bit about this. Here's from the Wall Street Journal's economist who covers real estate, Nicole Friedman. Home prices aren't falling anymore. The surprisingly quick recovery suggests that the residential real estate downturn is turning out to be shorter and shallower than many housing economists expected after mortgage rates surged last year. Everyone thought prices were going to come down. That's all we heard. Oh my God, the rates are going up. This is going to crush pricing. It's just not the case. This is interesting. From John Burns Consulting. You should follow John Burns if you're interested in real estate. From January through August, housing demand stabilized, resulting in relatively stable home prices. By August 2023, national National resale home prices fully recovered from the declines experienced in the second half of 2022 and now are exceeding their April 2022 peak. Here's from Freddie Mac. Overall, it appears the reduction in supply has outweighed the decrease in demand. Thus, house prices have started to increase even as sales has fallen. The real estate industry is robust, particularly in this country. Let's talk about the future of home prices. Here's what everybody wants to know. I had a friend call me this week, hey, I'm about to buy a house in Colorado. What should I do? I'm freaking out. I told him to do it for a host of reasons. High mortgage rates have slowed additional price surges, with monthly increases returning to regular seasonal averages. In other words, home prices are still growing, but are in line with historic seasonal expectations. Guys, this is normal. Home price expectation survey. This was kind of interesting. Ready? Estimated home price performance. In 2023, it looks like home prices are going to go up 3.3%. 2024, 2%. But look at 25, 26, and 27. They think the home price, they're going to accelerate. The prices are going up. So if you're thinking about buying, if you're not going to live where you're living right now forever, or you're renting, the time is now, okay? Let's talk about mortgage rates. That's a hot topic. Look at the 30-year fixed rate, okay? From 2018 till today. That's not even going back that far. We're hovering right around the mid-sevens, guys. It is high, but not that crazy high. It's been going up. But here's the projections. If you look at Q4, 2024, Q1, Q2, Q3, they're thinking they're coming down. Now, nobody knows this, and this could go up, but here's what the smart people are saying. If you average all three, Fannie Mae, Mortgage Bankers Association, and the National Association of Realtors, they think by the end of this year we'll be at 6.5. That means buy now, even though you're locking yourself into a 7.3, 7.5, there's something called a refinance. Now, I hate the term marry the house, date the rate, but it is reality that the rates change and you can change with it. And if these predictions are right, and these people are much smarter than me because they're economists and they study this 24/7, Q1 2024, 6.3%, 6.1%. They think we're going to be under 6% by the end of next year. Fascinating. You know what happens when that happens? Buyers come out of the woodwork, the prices are going to keep going up. That's why you got to act sooner rather than later. Time is your friend in real estate deals. So, this is another chart that kind of shows this nicely. Look at where are they going? 6.3, 6.1, 5.8, 5.5. This is fascinating stuff, guys. This means go now. Your payment can come down in the future. Lending standards are still under control. Look at the housing bubble. Look at that number. It was out of whack. Mortgage Credit Availability Index, this means were the banks willing to give people money? It was way out of whack. Since June 2008 till now, we got this stuff under control. Another reason why you're not going to see the surge in foreclosures, you're not going to see all these crazy opportunities, one of the first myths we busted. Now let's talk about what's happening in our neck of the woods, what we really care about, okay? Here's our weekly snapshot. This is live, up to date. This is the whole Mid-Atlantic region. We're going to cover Baltimore next. Here's how long it takes to sell a home. Right around 20 days. Right around 20 days. That's 6 days longer than it was a year ago, back when it was bang, bang, bang. But about 20 days, that was interesting to me. Median list price in our area did go down about 2.5%. Prices came down. They're saying they're going to go back up. That's interesting. And the number of showings went down, but these are little changes here. The big thing to note there is how long it takes to sell. That's a good expectation. So if you're a buyer, you see a bunch of homes, you're shopping on Zillow or on SureSalesGroup.com, all those houses you're looking at probably be sold in 20 days, and there'll be a new crop up. Fascinating how fast it moves. Okay, let's talk about the Baltimore Metro, my favorite. Median time to contract, 22 days, which is 9 days longer than it was a year ago. Here's what this means. Sellers, you gotta be a little bit more patient. When you list your home and you do everything right, don't expect to have 50 offers in the first week. Those days are over. But this is beautiful for home buyers. You have more time. You can analyze, you can strategize, you can work with your agent to really understand how you want to strategically negotiate and attack the market so you can get what you want. New listings, up 3%. Inventory's coming. And at the same time, We think the rates are going to come down, home prices are going to come up, and there's going to be more opportunity. The market's going to be robust. We're here to help you. If you have any questions about foreclosures, Airbnb, should I buy, should I rent, should I sell, should I keep my house, should I upsize, should I downsize, what's this mean for my taxes? That's what we're here to do. We've spent the last, at least me personally, 12 years studying the real estate market and how it works in this country so we can take those insights and help you strategize for you and your future. If you're interested in having a real estate and lifestyle planning guide conversation, almost like what your financial planner would do, that's what we like to do for our clients. So you can move with confidence, you can have clarity, and if you know what's going on, you're going to know what to do. Thanks for checking out This Month in Housing. We're going to do this every month in perpetuity because we know it's important. Thank you.